spookers. I don't know what your nickname for you guys are going to be, but welcome to the very first episode of the Spooky Screams podcast with me and a friend talk about all things horror movies and media. I'm Creme I Am, or David, and I'm here with my co-host, Katie. We're going to talk about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie today. Let's talk about it a little bit without spoilers, and then we can go into some spoiler and like go over the plot, just so in case you want to see it. What did you think of the movie?
I really enjoyed it. I would have enjoyed it more if they were doing an R-rated cut like we thought they were going to.
I don't know where the hell I read it, but I read that there was going to be an R-rated cut, and I think some scenes really could have used an R-rated cut. It would have been really spooky. The only other gripe I have with it, I'm just going to say I love this movie. I can't remember what my dense review score was, but after watching it multiple times, I'm going to give it an 8.5.
I think that's fair.
I wish they didn't move as soon as they did. I feel like you showed them moving a little bit too much. The whole horror of the first one was they might be moving, but they might not, but you never see them move.
Yeah.
The only one you see move in the first one is Foxy.
Yeah, they could have worked the camera game a little more, like you said, just because that's what the game was.
Yeah, they could have like done more with the security. Also, the heavy metal doors would have been really cool, like to see them use.
Yeah, to see them use
it. There's only like one door, realistically.
Well, that's what I was confused about. Like, in The Office, they would just close that door, and they never really implied that whether that door, when it's closed, was locked or not.
In the beginning, he had the door locked and blocked with a bunch of stuff.
But they don't do that again.
No, they don't do that again.
Because the one guy's in there at some point in the movie.
Yeah. And he just kind of runs.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the only thing I will say is maybe it's like the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 the FNAF 3 location that they use for Fazbear Horrors or something like that. Because that one, there is no blocking the door.
Yeah.
So maybe it's that office because there's a vent.
Yeah.
Wait, because there's a vent that they use. And then there's also door that you can't, that's not like a secure metal door.
Yeah, it's definitely not the one they had. It was just a normal
maybe it's the FNAF 3 office maybe that's what the location is. Because, I mean, you'd think they have to be semi-standardized with, like, the Pirates Cove and the cast, but the building might be changed different around. So maybe that's it. But I think that's the only thing I really want to get into without spoiling anything. So if you guys want to go see the movie, I highly recommend you do. It's on Amazon, it's on Peacock, you can buy it. But you've been warned. Let's talk about the plot. So at the beginning of the movie, fun fact, the security guard in the beginning it was supposed to be Markiplier, but he was filming his movie Iron Lung, so they switched it out. That's a fun fact I learned from the Brain Leak podcast.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And then so he's just kind of chilling, right? I think he's just
he's running.
Oh, he's running.
Yeah,
because he's like untwisting a bolt with his hands.
In the vent. He's trying to get to the vent. Yeah.
And you hear them banging against the door, and you can see the door kind of wobble. So maybe the doors don't even lock.
That's what I was kind of saying. I think it's implied that it doesn't lock. It just didn't really fit the first game. So that's why the only thing I had.
Odd. Because everything else is relatively similar to the first game.
But I think you're right. I think he did have it barricaded.
He did have like a bunch of like desks and stuff in front of it. So he gets through. He undoes the bolt, runs through the vents, and then he kicks it, and he just kind of waits there a little bit after making a lot of noise. Like, he makes so much noise there, and then he leaves the flashlight. I don't know why he would do that. And then he's like, spooky walking around. He just kind of and then what gets him? I think the cupcake.
I think the cupcake's in the vent and gets him.
Oh yeah, because no, does he see on the camera? No, I'm thinking of.
It's not on the camera, but it shows. I don't know if it actually shows at getting him. I think it shows the cupcake and then screaming, whatever. Yeah.
Okay, and then we cut to Mike Schmidt, waiting in line at a yogurt stand, which the rainbow is the rainbow from, I think it's FNAF World is where that originally design came up. I think it's one of the rainbows from FNAF World, but it shows up in some of the other stuff too. And then he's waiting in line for Frogger, and he sees this kid, which at first you think, oh man, that really does look like a kidnapping at first sight. But after finding out that it's just his dad, it doesn't really look that violent, to be honest.
No.
He looks like he's just like trying to like, he's like grabbing on my shoulder like, come on, come on, like, look, come on, we need to go. But Mike just goes into a fugue rage and runs after the dad and beats the shit out of him in a fountain. Like, bam, 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 bam. And then he gets security called on him, the security guard, and then a hard cut to him waiting in a office. What are they building called? Like, you go to try to find a job.
They're like the career centers or whatever.
Center?
Yeah, whatever you want to call it. It's like you get a career counselor, and that's what the guy is.
So he goes in, and is his name just William Afton, or did he have an alias? I
think he had an alias.
I don't remember the alias.
But he had a nameplate, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Because I was like, why didn't they use Dave Miller like the books?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it didn't say William, though.
So he's like, Mikey boy, you can't keep a job. You're 2 weeks here, a month there, another week here. You ain't keeping a job, guy. And then he reads his name. He's like, Michael looks at him, Soy Jack, and then looks, and he goes, what's the line? I see it all over TikTok. I'm not gonna lie to you, Mike. Your options are extremely limited, or something.
Yeah,
like
something like that.
Which this scene has a lot of the like quotable lines, because then he's like, I'm gonna be honest, the hours suck, but the pay is worse.
Yeah,
and it's a night shift. What? The night guard. So he's originally Mike says no, but then when he's in school for his younger sister Abby. His aunt and their lawyer, who has a pretty popular TikTok
I don't think
account.
the lawyer's there.
Is it? I thought he
but
was.
They're
He's in the
at
middle,
like
isn't he?
I didn't think he could have been
because
they're like meeting up with the school counselor or something like that.
And she wants Abby for the money, but then she affords a lawyer and can afford $1,000.
They never really. Oh, sorry. They never really say like why she's going after custody.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
It's very weird
because like she can afford $1,000 to trash the place later in the movie, but she wants the like what $100 or not $100. She wants the little bit of money for Abby's like custody.
Yeah,
check.
that's why I don't think it's about the money, but it's like why else does she want her? Because she never wanted either of them.
Yeah, because Abby doesn't really like her either. Because what's the quote? She's mean and she smells like cigarettes.
Yeah.
But after that, he's talking to the girl and she's like, Abby likes you. She draws you in all her pictures. That means she likes you. And she's like, if you want to win a court custody battle, you got to get yourself a job. And that's when he calls up William Afton and is like, I'm in. And he gets the job. And he gets a babysitter, which I really don't know where he finds her.
Yeah, they don't say.
They don't really say, but she babysits for him. And he goes the first night. He is a bad security guard because he just slept the first night.
Yeah.
And he meets up with the missing children. These 5. Yeah, because there's Bonnie, Freddy, Chica, Foxy, Golden Freddy.
Mm-hmm.
He meets up with the 5, which, fun fact, I think there's maybe 1 or 2 shots, but other than Golden Freddy, that kid, which I'm just gonna call Cassidy because I think that's what he is in the games. Other than Cassidy, the others' faces are almost always obscured, which is supposed to show that they're not as in control. They're not as aware as Cassidy is. He can think more clearly and control his remnant in the animatronics. Because he's filled more with rage of him, but he's also controlled by him. It's really weird.
Yeah, it is.
But, so he talks to him, and, he gets the dream, and then he turns around and sees him, and I think that's where it ends, 6 a.m. Goes home, domestic stuff. I think he just goes, and then he does it again. I think on night 2 is when, after night 2 is when, Matt Pat cameo, right?
Yeah, and I think during night 2 he meets Vanessa.
That's right, Vanessa. Correctly. So he goes back to sleep, and then he chases after the ginger Foxy, the kid that's in Foxy, and he gets cut by the hook while he's asleep. And then he meets Vanessa, who is, we already said spoiler, William Afton's daughter, which is varying from the games because she is not his daughter in the games. But she meets him, fixes him up, and says, "Oh, you like might not survive."
She's like very vague about stuff, and
she hangs out at a pizzeria, which is on her stop, but that's like the only place you ever see her. She's there like the rest of the week and just kind of hangs out at Freddy's. Like you could do a drug deal anywhere else in her thing. She's always at her. So she patches him up, and then that night, I believe, that's when the babysitter meets up, because they trash it after night 3. Because they meet during the day, night 3 happens, then they trash it, and then night 4 is when Abby has to come, and maybe night 5 is when it all happens, or maybe I can't remember.
I don't remember. I really don't remember how many nights he's there, to be honest.
I don't know if he's there. 5 nights at Freddy's.
I think it's over the span of like 5 days. That would make sense,
something like that.
Because he's not there longer.
I don't know the exact time, but this is like chronological. I just don't know the days.
Yeah.
But she then meets up at a diner where we get Matthew Patrick as a cameo in the movie. This is the one where the lawyer and the aunt meet up with the babysitter and this random guy, which I think is like her brother.
I think it's her brother.
And then she's like, the only thing she's trying to find dirt on him.
Yeah, so you find out that the babysitter is like a plant, basically, by the aunt.
Though she feels reluctant about it, though, I will say, which is a surprise when she died.
Yeah.
That day.
Yeah.
Because normally, like, the reluctant people normally get, like, oh, well, they didn't want to, so they decided to not kill them.
Yeah.
Like, but... So they meet up, and she's like, the only thing you got is he sleeps a lot. That's not anything I can do. And then the brother is like, he's a security guard. And I can think of, what was it? Oh yeah, the one. Do you remember the FNAF 2? The FNAF 2 animation. I think it's by Pymation. He's like, when he puts the mask on, he's like, "Hey, I'm Freddy," and it's Foxy's the only one that's not tricked. He's like, he's literally the security guard. He's like, I don't know, and it's like Freddy's like, I don't know. I think he looks like Freddy. But you're Freddy! Oh, yeah. But back on track. Then he's like, well, why don't we trash the place if he's trying to keep an eye on it? We can trash it. We can loot whatever we want, and you give us $1,000. So she has $1,000 to throw around.
Yeah.
And a decent looking lawyer. I mean, he looks pretty decent. Like, he knows his stuff, evidently, because he's not supposed to hear all this. But they go, and he just sleeps through the night. He goes to the gold. I think this is when he goes to Cassidy, and he's like, can you tell me who kidnapped my brother, Garrett? And he's like, will you give us anything we want? He's like, yes.
Yeah, that doesn't happen then. They have to trash your place first.
I thought they killed, and then he says that, like, after he cleans up.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Because he brings Abby there twice before he does that. So that's 2 more nights, because the first night Abby sleeps.
From my recollection, he says yes before he brings Abby, because she sees them.
Oh, I think, you're right.
Kids.
Yeah.
Because that's when he draws the rabbit in the sand.
Yeah.
Because I think he says yes, not knowing that they want Abby.
Yeah, you're right.
Because he asks, what do you want on that final night? But I think that happens, I can't remember how that night ends. I think he just wakes up and goes. He locks up everything except for he doesn't pull the sliders across. Like, it's like the loading dock.
I think so.
So then the brother is there with his bike and calls him in the wrecking crew. He just goes to bed, does Michael's stuff during the day. But this is where we get some of the kills they're some really cool kills. Well, they all go in, they're smashing arcade cabinets and pinball machines, which if you had 2 guys, you could easily carry out. And you could make big banks off of some of these, like, retro, because it's 2000, so it's the 80s. It's kind of older. You could make some decent money off those pinball machines.
Yeah.
Especially, they looked in pretty good condition in there, other than they're dusty.
Yeah, they were just stealing tokens, basically.
They were stealing fast tokens.
Yeah.
It's like going to Chuck E. Cheese and breaking into the Chuck E. Cheese tokens. What the hell are you going to use those for? I'd like to buy this candy bar. Dump some Faz tokens on there. Will this cover it? On the counter, it said it was 300 of these. I like to pay my rent in Faz tokens.
Yeah.
Here's a truck full. Anyways, we go, they trash it, and then I think Chica's the first one, because so I noticed this.
The cupcake,
The
I
cupcake
guess. Yeah.
is in the freezer moving while the one guy's in the kitchen, and you see Chica walk behind the fan in the background, which is so cool. I didn't notice. And then Chica is standing behind him with the plate, just looking, moving her eyes, which also eyelid movement. I don't know why they added that. I don't think they have it in the first one. I think them just standing there still would be way scarier, in my opinion.
Yeah, probably.
Just having them stand completely still, not moving, just staring, instead of having, like, eye movement. I think that, like, you could have their eyes, pupils, and that move, but I think having, like,
having them blink and stuff like that.
I don't think they like, blink on the stage in any of them, but...
I don't know. I don't remember.
It's, like, a small nitpick, if I'm going to be honest. Because other than that, they still look amazing. Stands there. I think the cupcake comes back onto the plate because it jumps off the plate.
I don't remember.
So once the cupcake comes out and then it bites the dude's face, one of the older grizzled guy with like a white beard
sees it
and he starts running through the halls. The one guy's going to smash the security office. He sees him screaming. Isn't goofy screaming on the cameras?
Yeah, it was
running,
funny. Yeah,
running into the supply closet. Which is a cool throwback to the games, because Bonnie stands in the supply closet looking up at the camera. And then he gets just like... Bonnie just goes a smackdown. It just beats the shit out of him. Which Bonnie is the first, normal animatronic to actually get a kill then.
Uh-huh.
Because, I mean, I guess before that, technically, Foxy is in there, and... Oh, I guess Foxy kidnaps the guy. This first security guard. Because then we go to the remnant extractor next.
Oh, yeah, that's
we forgot
true. I forgot about that, yeah.
So, hopping back to the beginning of the movie, there's a Freddy mask with a bunch of whirling saws, which I didn't understand, but when I watched the game theory, this William Afton knows much more about remnant and agony. So, because it seems like he's farther along than the other William Aftons and the other timelines.
Mm-hmm.
Because he created a remnant extractor, which is very similar to like some of the ones they use later in the games, and like the scooper and stuff like that. So it's like this, basically it's like a saw trap. They're tied down and then the spinning mask comes at their face, pretty much. So I guess Foxy gets the first kill, technically, kind of, but like the first act will just like smack down goes to Bonnie. So then we see the bloody hand on the door as the guy goes to investigate, and then I think it's got maybe by Foxy. How does he die?
He runs, he goes, he's also a cupcake. I don't know, because he runs into the office.
He goes in the vent, doesn't he? And then they
No, that was the first security guard, because now I don't remember.
Because they see the camera, and this was
you see he's watching the camera because he's in the room, and you see
Bonnie
Chica
and Chica standing there,
and they send the cupcake through the vent, and then so he's holding back that vent from the cupcake, and the cupcake eventually leaves, and I think it comes down.
It comes from the vent in the floor, because it's a floor vent, because he crawled in. I think he puts the gate up there and he's holding it, remember?
Yeah, but I think, and then it stops,
and
it comes in another way, I think, doesn't it?
Maybe?
I don't remember that one.
Or maybe Foxy comes in and kills him. Maybe? I don't remember.
I don't remember that one.
Because that's another nitpicky thing. I think they make them... If they had them standing there looking at the camera, and then he like changes the camera and comes back and the cupcake's gone, that would have been way scarier, because you don't know. I think that would have been pretty cool.
No, the cupcake leaves. It is Foxy. The cupcake leaves, so he runs out the door, tries to go out the exit.
Oh, the same exit, and Foxy gets
Foxy's there. Yeah, you're right.
Go dum diddly dum diddly dum diddly dum 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 dum. And then the girl, the babysitter, trademark, she comes in looking. She doesn't hear from him. And she goes, and there's this spirit, I think it's the spirit of Freddy, leads her to the room where they have the suits, where you see Mr. Hippo, a dog, I don't remember that one, but I think it's one of Afton's very original suits. I think you see Eleanor, too, the Springlock suit, and you see Freddy in the service room. And then he hears someone talk from Freddy, which I don't remember when we've seen it in theater.
I don't remember that in theaters either.
But maybe it could have been just like,
But like, why else would she walk up to it?
True. So then she grabs a chair, steps into it, and looks in, and the kid grabs her and pulls her in, and then in the shadows, I think this is so cool. You see the silhouette chomp, and then you see the legs drop.
Yeah.
Which does that mean her soul's now in the suit too?
They don't address that.
No, oh wait, no, because they put the other half of the body in Mr. Hippo, I believe, later.
Oh yeah, that's
with
right.
the
You
others,
you go
'cause they
in,
stuff them
yeah,
in
when they go
the
back.
suits.
Yeah.
So that happens. It's over because that's when he doesn't find the body because he doesn't go into the parts and service room. I think that's why he doesn't find the body.
He cleans up. Well,
he cleans up the
Vanessa,
main area.
before that, he's at home. Vanessa comes to his house.
Oh,
and
so she could have stuffed and hid those things.
She might have, because she brings up the fact that he's using sleeping pills, tells him he needs to stop, and then he tells her his story about his little brother getting kidnapped. They never figured out who it was, and then both of his parents died, so he had to raise Abby. But he's been, like, obsessed with trying to figure out who kidnapped his brother.
Yeah.
And so then that night at work, he goes and cleans up the whole place. And I think that's the night he brings Abby.
Because the babysitter's dead, so he doesn't find it.
So he had to bring her to work. So while he's cleaning, she's sleeping in a tent. And then he goes back to sleep trying to do the whole, trying to see who kidnapped his little brother thing in his dreams. And then Abby hears a voice saying Abby. So she gets called out to like the party room.
The party area,
whatever you want to call it.
All surrounding her.
And that happens, and then I don't know, do you see any more of Abby? And then it goes back to his dream, and then
I think she leaves the bathroom, and I think that's when she meets him, and then we go back to dream him.
Yeah.
And they're all not there. They're not in his dream, haunting his dream, I think. And then it goes to day, and it just kind of cuts through, and it goes to the next night.
No, that night he figures out
they're alive.
Because he hears her, I don't know what wakes him up for the dream, but then he hears her screaming.
Yeah, he hears her scream. I think that's what wakes him up from the dream.
It could be.
Maybe the scream. He goes out there, and they're all, like, surrounding him, and then Freddy, like, mean mugs him, walks up like, what you gonna do, huh? I'm Freddy fucking Fazbear. And then Abby's like, he's cool. He's like dead. He's like dead inside, so he's like you guys. And I think that's when they leave because it's 6 a.m.
Yeah, they leave and they're just standing.
Yeah, they're just like the T-pose.
Yeah.
I don't think anything happens during the day that day, does it? Because Abby comes back.
Yeah, Abby comes back.
And that's when maybe she night. Like draws and stuff.
Oh yeah, so she draws she draws the kidnapping.
The kidnapping and all the kids with the implements.
They have like the bunny ears and the top hat and all that, yeah. And so he basically asks her if she could talk to them about what happened to their brother.
Yeah.
And try to figure out who kidnapped him. So they go back that night. She's playing with them or whatever, and then Vanessa comes.
And she's like, let's build
they build a fort
out of tables and chairs with the animatronics, and they're all like kind of buddy. Then they go back. This is where we learn about spring locks.
Yeah. Which
I think it would have been cool if instead of the remnant extractor, they like in the scene in the beginning, if they stuffed him in a suit, a spring lock suit. Because that would have set things up from the beginning. Like maybe you have like the Eleanor suit and then you use like a different suit for Abby or something. Or like a Mr. Hippo or something like that. But you go through there, they go back to find a roof, and then that's when Michael's like, hey, don't forget to ask about my brother.
Yeah.
They go back and they're talking, and she's like looking for a thing, and she kind of knows where everything is, and he's like,
and she's scared. She's acting scared.
She's like scared and like, oh no. And then he goes up to look at this Eleanor, which basically kind of looks like a 1800s baby, kind of. And she puts a broom in there and shows the spring lock snapping shut. Just like, just showing how
dangerous it is.
And then he's like, how come you didn't say this to me? Abby could have found this. And she's like, you shouldn't have brought him. He should have rebutted, I don't have a babysitter, I'm broke as fuck, what the hell else am I supposed to do? You could have warned me of this so I could have tried harder to find one. For all I know, the animatronics move around a little bit and they don't hurt her, so why else would I?
Yeah.
No. But then she goes up to strum the electric guitar, and for some reason the strings are electrified.
Yeah.
It's maybe like a wiring thing's gone wrong.
Yeah, maybe it just electrified that metal. Yeah. I don't know.
That's weird. But then she passes out, and then he brings her home, and then he gets the ant. Wait, this may be the final night. That may be night 4, because 3, 4 is when he makes her. Yeah. When the ant's at home and Golden Freddy goes.
This is the final night. Yeah.
So we're on night 5. we go to, he finds the aunt. She's upset because he has the aunt babysit her for the night, and then she's like, we have a bigger issue here.
Yeah, because I think at this point he's like, because of what happened there, he's like, maybe I shouldn't have
done that.
Shouldn't have custody, and the aunt wants custody.
Responsible decision.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have brought her there. Though I will say, if she would have listened and stayed in the main room, she probably would have been fine.
Yeah, she would have been fine.
But also, she did have to go to the bathroom, so that's also fair.
Yeah.
But he should have been sleeping on the job, to be honest. Like, he could sleep when she's at school.
Yeah.
Instead, he sleeps
He sleeps all day because of the pills.
He's so sleepy. Yeah. It's so weird. Maybe that's so they didn't have to have him talking as much. I don't know. Maybe he got paid by word. But so we're going through So this is the final hoorah. This is the 5 nights at the 5th night at Freddy Fazbear. So it starts off, he has the aunt, and she's like, why don't you love me? And then marks his face off of every picture, which may be why they get so aggressive that night, because they're controlled by pictures. Yeah, it could be,
yeah.
And she's upset, so now they're like, let's get killing. Cassidy... Everything, like...
He goes to sleep at work again.
Yeah.
And then...
if you want to explain it.
Yeah, he has the same dream that he always has. And this is where, like, it kind of shows, like, oh, this is what would happen if your brother wasn't kidnapped. He's there with your family and all that. And he's like, oh, that's what I want to the kids. And they're like, well, we just want Abby. And then he says yes to that again.
He says yes, like yes, this is I want to see my old brother again. But then he's like, oh no, but then he mimics something like he did with Abby earlier.
Yeah, like, well, and then he was he immediately says like, no, this isn't what I want, because he wants Abby, but it's too late. And then I don't the animatronics attack him, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember how.
But I know he gets beat up, and then he gets strapped.
Foxy comes after him.
Yeah,
and then they strap him into the remnant extractor.
Yeah. And then I think it's just implied that Vanessa goes in and saves him, because he wakes up at the police station.
He gets knocked out by, I think it's Freddy or Bonnie knocks him out.
Yeah, he gets out of the chair, and then from there, he never makes it out by himself. He just wakes up in the police station.
That's true. And Vanessa's like, oh, I did my best, but I can't. You might need stitches. And that's when she reveals that she is the daughter of William Huffleton.
And reveals that he's the guy, like, what he did all these murders.
And she helps cover it up.
And is probably the guy that
killed Garrett.
And is that where she shows the photo?
Yeah, she shows the photo, which...
Yeah.
He gives his daughter, the murdered kids, like, toys.
Yeah.
It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
But he's also fucked up for killing, like, literal children.
Yeah.
So,
when he has a daughter, which is, like, I don't... It's just weird.
He might not have the daughter, though. Well, no, I guess he
would have had a daughter. No, he did, because he had his brother's toy.
Seems like it's... He could have kept the toy, to be honest, but I think because they're about the same age, so that's why my assumption is that she would have been older than the kids he was killing. But also, I think he kidnapped... I think Garrett is the first one, because here's the theory, that in this timeline, the Schmidts are a replacement for the Henrys, and the father and the mother you don't see very much of, but we think... The theory is that this is like kind of like more, or it's going to go into origins, because they would like partnered up together. The business partners of Appletons, the Aftons and Schmidts were like partners, because the Schmidts bought him out to help breed his characters, bring him to life, better animatronics, which he learns. I think when his kid gets bitten by Bite of 87 from the Springlock failure, he blames him and he kidnaps his son. So I think because he has two probably, and then Vanessa's the older one that is still alive. So he learns that and he kidnaps that one, because that one's more meditated, because it's just out in the woods. It's not
it was like they were out on a camping trip. And
in Nevada,
somehow a random guy just came up to their campsite and stole their son.
Which it would make sense if it was premeditated.
That's what I'm saying. It wouldn't be like something like, oh, I'm just taking a drive by this secluded area.
If it was them just near their location out in a park, because he has to save up for it, so would it make sense that he would have a Freddy's in his town?
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's trying to save money to go back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why maybe it would be there, because he wouldn't suspect it being all the way out there. That's the working film theory. But yes, then he finds out that she shows him that she needs to administer a controlled shock, because she gives him a bunch of tasers and stun batons.
But while that's going on, at the house with the aunt and Abby.
Yeah.
She's like locked in her room, won't talk to her aunt or whatever. And Golden Freddy comes up there, somehow kills the aunt. We don't know that, they don't show that. I don't think.
They just show like
her.
Hello,
she's laying on.
then...
Yeah, and then she's laying on the ground. So he goes and gets Abby, and it's like, it's time to come. We want to play, whatever. And she sees the aunt on the ground, and he's like, "Oh, she's just sleeping." And she buys
like,
it. So
I don't like her. She must die.
Yeah.
Which we get to see Golden Freddy. I think they did a pretty okay job of Golden Freddy being a hollowed out suit with a missing ear.
Mm-hmm.
It has an eye still, but I think they should have done hollowed out eyes maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And like maybe like missing some parts if it's like an older suit. I think would have been cooler because the original Golden Freddy is just a flopped out empty suit that Cassidy gets stuffed into. So I think they could have done a little bit more, or like make it look older, kind of like Springtrap, to show it's like the original Fredbear suit, which I guess Fredbear is technically different than Spring Bonnie, but either way, I think it would have been, they could have done a little bit more to show it was like hollowed out or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, a missing eye and like a missing ear, maybe like a missing toe or like foot or something would have been cool, like a vest or something different, just to differentiate. But still, I think the animatronic does serviceable for what it needs to do. I think this is another, from my understanding, I don't know this YouTuber, but Daco is the cab driver. So Abby gets in the cab, and then the thing tilts as the 6 or 7 foot animatronic.
Yeah, however big it is.
Because I know Spring Bonnie is Springtrap, I'm just gonna call him Springtrap, is taller than the other ones.
Yeah,
it's meant to have a human inside
and
of
you
it
see
too.
that too in the movie.
So I'm gonna assume it's like a 6-foot animatronic or something like that. That gets into the car and it like creaks, and then he takes him to Freddy's. Which, how did he get there? He had to walk a long way or take that cab. So why would he react like, oh, freaks?
Yeah.
So, because I mean, Golden Freddy can teleport, so maybe he got the cab because he can't teleport Abby.
Probably, that would make sense.
That makes sense.
It had a comedy there too. It was funny.
Yeah,
so.
because they could have done is made the suit like that, but then had it like an apparition. I think would have been way cooler because I think Cassidy has more control over the building itself.
Yeah.
So I think they could have done that, because then it disappears when they get there as she walks into Freddy's.
And
then we'll cut back to, well, I guess they're at the party now, aren't they? I think this is when she walks in and they start the party and singing.
Yeah, so they're all out there having a party or whatever.
Yeah. So then Michael learns this, he gets patched up, and he takes Vanny's police car to Freddy's. And
Vanessa doesn't go, though.
She does.
No, not at first.
Not at first. True, not at first.
She says she can't, and it's too much for her, whatever, because it's her dad and all that. Fair
enough, a psychopathic child murdering father figure.
Yeah.
That you are kind of in the cool with right now. I would be hesitant too, because, you know, he's doing it to little kids. You're an adult. He's probably way less worried about killing an adult.
Yeah.
Especially his disobedient, quote unquote, daughter. So, I mean, from his point of view, from her thinking of his point of view, it's kind of a risky play. You got a decent thing going. So they're dancing, they're hitting the gritty up on the stage, doing some orange justices, and then Chica's like, "Come with me," and leads him back to the Eleanor suit and tries to stuff her in. But that's when, so what happens with Michael then?
So I think he comes in, and I don't remember if he tases her or uses the prod or whatever.
Well, he comes in through the vent, Among Us.
Oh, yeah, okay. So he comes in, he goes into the party area, and so, like, on stage, Foxy's in the cove, not doing anything.
Yeah, he's, like, deactivated. He's comatose.
So Bonnie and Freddy are playing their music on stage, and it's funny because Bonnie's trying to, like, point at him because he sees Mike, but Freddy's facing the other way. That's what everyone says is the way,
really?
like... Yeah, the way...
I just seen it as, like, he's just looking in that direction, like, heard something.
But he kept, like, basically pointing. So that's what, like, everyone said about that. And then Freddy looks all of a sudden, but he's up against, so Freddy doesn't see him. So he goes back to singing and dancing. And there's water on the stage. I'm assuming just from being a rundown building.
Yeah, I think maybe it's his mop water that he dumps out of the bucket.
True. So he sends the
like
taser or something into that and electrocutes them, so they get deactivated. And then he goes and tries to find Abby. And then you see Foxy. Like, Foxy saw that and goes back, like, implying that she's gonna try and follow
I think
him.
Foxy activates because remember, because I think he tases Chica. Chica falls. The cupcake activates because then they're running out and he gets bit in the leg. And then
after he saves Abby,
after he saves Abby, he gets bit in the leg. Abby runs out and starts my favorite sequence of the movie, the Foxy Abby chase. Oh, I'm gonna gush about this. So Abby runs out and hides behind an arcade cabinet, accidentally activates a pinball machine. So Foxy slowly goes by looking at each arcade cabinet, and you see the like red and blue glow around Foxy as it looks, and the red eye. And then you see her hiding behind the one as Foxy slowly comes near. Then I think Vanny comes in. I forget how it works. Something, Mike comes out and does something with the thing that looks. Abby runs into the ball pit hidden. Foxy turns, looks around, and looks at the ball pit, and then keeps walking toward it. As you look from Abby's POV, you see from Foxy's POV a look of Abby in the ball pit.
Yeah.
And then you look at Foxy, you see from Abby's POV, you see Foxy's glowing eye between the balls in the ball pit as he comes closer to hook / in. It's so cool. It's such a cool scene. It's so stylized.
Yeah.
It's like peak FNAF in my opinion. Like that is such a cool like the 80s arcade aesthetic and like all these like Chuck E. Cheese type things as you have someone hiding in like the like a fox in the dark with a hook, which is not safe to be on stage. If we talk about the hook, like normally you think of a pirate hook like the kids like the rounded plastic hook.
But
No. They had just like
hook.
a sickle on his hand. Why would you have that on stage? That's a liability. Put a tennis ball on the end of that.
Yeah, like a
But I think he gets saved by Vanny, right? She gets saved by Vanny electrocuting Foxy.
Yeah, I don't know what happens first or not, but then so Mike, I don't know if he's trying to run to her, and then Springtrap comes out.
Oh yeah, because I think she electrocutes Foxy because she gets him.
Vanessa gets and lifts up her out of the ball pit.
And then as Mike's running out to the stage, Springtrap comes out, which has like he's missing an ear, he's burned down the one side, kind of. But you see he has the eyes from FNAF 3.
Yeah, which are
the
creepy.
cool like white with the ring in the middle and then white again, eyes in the suit. And Mike goes to tase him and he just rips him out and he's like, those tricks won't work on me. And then he goes into a rant. What was it like? First I killed your brother, then I killed you. That's symmetry.
Yeah, so stupid.
How's that symmetry? It'd be like different if they were like twins.
He could say it was like full circle, if anything, not
it's
like
the
symmetry.
end of the line.
Yeah, he could have said something different.
But then Vanny says something. What does Vanny do? Do you remember?
So he kicks him to the ground, whatever. She holds up a gun to him and is like, stop or I'll kill you or something like that.
I think that's when he takes his helmet off.
And yeah, he takes it off then. And he's like, really? You're going to act up now? And he was like,
a little old for throwing temper tantrums.
And yeah, he basically said like, help me clean up this mess
you created.
Yeah. And then she shoots him
in the chest, which should have activated a spring lock, I would think. That's really fast.
It didn't like do anything to him.
Maybe she missed because she knew where the spring locks are.
Could have been.
She's like just a warning shot. Like just shoot a little.
And it didn't work because then he runs up and stabs her.
I think he has a knife and he goes for
Abby.
He
has a knife.
Then she just grabs the knife and then he just pushes her up against the arcade cabinet. She gets stabbed.
And then she's inactive for the rest of the movie.
The movie, yeah. Pretty well, she's comatose for the rest of the movie. And then William's like, the pictures. He has like the psychologist talking and said, the pictures, that's how children communicate with the world. So then she rips an old sign off, starts drawing as the power shuts off. I think Cassidy shuts the power off, like psychologically or whatever, the ghostly, because
because Mike ran to go to
because all of the animatronics were like coming in
and
the power goes off and all of them kind of like reboot, which I think is like they go into like a state, like a fugue state when the power's not on. It kind of like something activates the remnant,
and then as Abby's putting up the photo, Mike turns on the power,
resetting everything, and Cassidy gains control of the children again to help take out Springlock too, which then they give the fucking cupcake the kill on Springtrap. Like they didn't get like one of the animatronics Springlock's to punch him to activate him.
Yeah.
Or like have water dump on him to activate the Springlocks. It takes a bite out from the center, which like Springtrap has in the original and 3. The cupcake takes a bite out. You see as the Springlocks dig into his skin, or not skin, you see it dig into the suit and blood come out, and then Foxy hooks him in the shoulder and they all drag him out. I believe that's a frame from the Silver Eyes trilogy books. So that was a cool like homage to that. In my opinion, it was honestly really cool. I really liked that scene. I think it was a really cool way to end. And then you see Cassidy watching over him as he bleeds to death in the pizzeria.
Yeah.
And then what happens to our main characters like after that?
So after that, like after you see him dragging away, he takes Abby out. I don't know how much it shows of that, but then it's like, I don't know if it gives you like, a week later, a month later, whatever.
3 weeks later or something like that?
Yeah, so it goes to, you see Abby in her school actually playing with kids, which she didn't do before. She was very like in her own shell, but now she's talking and playing with other kids. She has actual friends. And so Mike's talking with the counselor and she's like, whatever you're doing, keep it up because it's working.
Get her life threatened by giant animatronic animals controlled by a serial killer that killed people throughout the ages in a golden robotic bunny suit, and also get shot at.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what he did to make her
to
make her a normal kid, and apparently it worked.
Parenting tip.
Yeah, parenting
Threaten your
tip.
child.
We never hear anything about anyone who's got murdered or why Vanessa got. They just brush
I
up.
think Vanny already covered it up for him.
Because she
with the police, like she already.
She
got
didn't
that
do
covered.
with Aunt Jane though, because
that's true.
That's so they don't bring that up. So that's like you don't hear about her again. So she's like
we
out
hear
of...
a thud, but maybe he just like ghost heart attacked her.
Yeah, because we don't know.
Nothing happened, so maybe it's just like a heart attack.
Yeah, we really don't know, and they don't say anything. And so he picks her up from school, and then they make a stop at the hospital, and you find out Vanessa's alive. She's just in a coma. So he goes and holds her hand, says whatever to her.
Yeah.
And then takes Abby back home, and they're just having like a pleasant talk about...
She's eating a lot, too, more than she did.
Yeah.
And she wants to go see the place
yeah, she
where
asks if she
died.
can visit her friends again, meaning the animatronics. And what was his answer?
We'll see.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll never know what happens.
Yeah, you never know what happens.
The ultimate parent no,
yeah.
But I don't want to tell you no because you're going to be a little shit about it.
And then
it ends.
It shows the photo she drew of all of them like together. Laying underneath the fort together.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to the pizzeria where
Cassidy's watching over.
Yeah, watching
as he's struggling.
Yeah,
3 weeks later, still alive. The remnant is strong with him, but he doesn't look like he's still learning to control the suit, like spiritually.
He's just there.
But that's the end. We get a cool doco thing where Balloon Boy shows up in his cab.
Yeah. That scares him.
That's pretty much the whole movie. I still go with my 8.5 rating. I think it does a good job of condensing the game lore into something digestible, and I think it makes the right changes because he was coming up with this shit as he was going along till Sister Location, I think that's when the main timeline really started to like pick itself up and get everything going. I think it's a good way of like mixing up some confusion, changing some things to where it's more easily digestible by the larger masses. And I still think it does justice to the lore, good enough for a movie to make it more movie watchable.
They did a good job of making it like regardless if you were a fan or just some other person who had no idea what it is, you could watch it either way and still enjoy it and not have to necessarily know any background of it.
I think it's like the Mario movie in a lot of regards. It's a good fun romp if you just know, like you know what, everyone knows FNAF a little bit, but you go in and you'll watch it. But if you're a fan, you're gonna catch a whole bunch of like background
there's
things.
a lot of like neat
Easter
things
eggs
for you to
and it does it justice, I feel. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the very first episode of the Spooky Screams podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. Follow us on YouTube as well if you're listening on audio platforms. Give it a like, give it a watch, share it with your friends. If you're listening on audio platforms, give us 5 stars. I believe right away we'll be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and I think we may have gotten ourselves on Audible as well.
Oh, wow.
I believe we already are set up for Audible, and we have a trailer set up for that. Thank you for coming out. These aren't going to be as frequent I mean, to be fair, the Crocs podcast with my co-host Oxygen isn't that frequent as much. Though I will say, since Show Off started, I'm able to help get like some stuff out for you guys as like filler content. But yes, go check my channel out, please, if you want to see more of me and some of my co-host. She's doing some videos. Yeah. With that, I'll do. Have a spooky afternoon.
Spooky Christmas.
Spooky Christmas.